evening, everybody. It is Wednesday the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. It's Star Wars Day, of course. And it's also Chris Cook's birthday, apparently, so happy birthday, Chris. I know you're watching, because you're one of these weird people that has decided to watch every single video that I do. So happy birthday, mate. I hope you're having a good one. Right, going to crack on quite quickly, because this first one, I need to... Well, these two, I need to do this filming and then quickly edit and upload this, because this is for today, because I've kind of caught up on myself a little bit. So, I'm going to finish off the Campbelltown region, because this was very kindly donated by Will Knock, who sent this along with a couple of other. He also sent the Alsa Bay as well, which is Longrow Red, which is the heavily peated version of Springbank. So the Springbank distillery is here. This is where Campbelltown is on the peninsula. Springbank I did yesterday as number 100. So in that you've got all the kind of information about the distillery itself. But if you can't be bothered to go back and look at Springbank, because it's only literally the one just before, just go back one and watch that. Founded in 1828 by William and John Mitchell. No, it wasn't founded in 1828 by William and John Mitchell. It was founded by the Reed family, but it was then bought 9 years later by William and John Mitchell, although their website gives you an impression that they actually founded the distillery itself. William and John actually kind of split up, and William set up the Glengyle distillery. They had a bit of a falling out. It has remained in the Mitchell family for 5 generations. It is still family owned now. They do absolutely everything on site, from malting the barley all the way through to bottling. Really highly regarded. Springbank 10 was absolutely fantastic. They do Hazelburn, which is a triple distill unpeated, and then they do Longrow, which is a heavily peated version. Now, Longrow Red is a annual release that they do in relatively small batches, and the reason it's called red is that they finish off the whisky in some kind of red wine cask. So this particular one is a 12-year-old that has been matured in bourbon casks for 11 years, and then for another final year in Pinot Noir red wine casks. I think the one that they did before, the year before, was fresh port casks, so almost like kind of first fill casks, so the whiskey went into one that had literally just had port maturing in it. So I've never had Longrow Red before. I know I've had Longrow, but it was a long time ago, and I can't really remember how it is, but this gets fantastically reviewed. Now, they release it at cask strength as well, so this is 52.9%. If you can find it, you're looking at about the 55 quid mark. But by the sounds of it, because it's Springbank, so it's very popular, because it's really highly regarded, because it's quite a small batch, this sells out really quickly. Master of Malt had this sold out at the time, and this is like, I think this is the most recent version. So I'll be very intrigued to see what this is like. Springbank was awesome, so if this is as good. I don't unfortunately have any Hazelburn. Technically I do. I have a bottle of Hazelburn, but it was one that I picked up, and that's more of a kind of to go towards the kids, to go towards student fees, that sort of thing. If I get totally desperate, I might crack it open, but I'm trying very hard not to. So if anybody does have a 2.5 CL of any kind of Hazelburn, because this was one of the original first ones, which is why I'm very reluctant to open it, because I need to pay for my kids' education. But yeah, if anybody does have any Hazelburn out there, they can spare 2.5 CL, and that would basically be the whole set. I've got Springbank done, I've got Glengyle / Kilcarran done, I've got Glen Scotia, that's Campbelltown done off the list. So if anybody does have anything out there, that would be good. So, a lovely deep dark colour, almost orangey. There's quite an orangey colour to that, like a burnt umber type feel to it. It's more orange than yellow. Not very pinky though, which, oh god, what was it that did have, and that was a red wine cask that had a very pink tinge. I honestly can't remember. Might have looked back through my notes to see if I remember. Oh, it's the Race. It wasn't that long ago. Race, which was matured in red wine casks, and that had a definite, quite obvious pink tinge to it, whereas this doesn't. This is very much an orangey, like a dark orange as well, almost kind of like a Lucozade colour, maybe not quite as artificial orange, but it's not too far off. I'll tell you what colour that is actually. If you took the bubbles out, Iron Brew. Yeah, Maybe a bit darker than Iron Brew. But yeah, it's that kind of oranginess. So straight on the nose, nice peatiness, but it's a sweet peat. And it's a lovely smokiness as well. Slight iodine, slight TCP. But there is a nice kind of bonfirey smokiness to this. Oh, that's a good nose. Not much sweetness coming through. Now it's 52.9% as well, so there's not too much burn, but that might well be masking some of it. I've got some water ready if needs be, so we'll see if it needs some. That's really unusual. There's a dryness which is almost like the tannins from the red wine that kicks in straight away and really dries your mouth up, and then follows in with this rich. There is a rich sweetness in there. The smoky peatiness isn't quite as full on as it is on the nose. There's less TCP, there's less iodine, and it's more of a smoky pepperiness. There is a nice sweetness to it, but it's not as berry fruitiness as I thought it might be, particularly reading some of the tasting notes as well. There's a definite tannic edge to it, that kind of red wine drying your mouth out from the tannins in the wine. And then it follows through with the rest of the whiskey. It's almost like have a sip of red wine and then we'll follow you with some nice peated whiskey. I'm going to add some water to it now. And then the red wine kind of kicks back in. It's weird. It almost is like they've mixed whiskey and red wine together. They kind of literally have done that, but it's very much like you've got two separate glasses that you've mixed in together. It is good. It's unusual. It's not as fruity as I thought it was going to be, and kind of hoping it was. I thought it was going to be a bit softer. So let's get a few drops of water in and just see how that goes. That might lighten it up a little bit, which may be what it needs. See, now that's mellowing out a lot more. If anything, it almost smells slightly more alcoholic now that I've added some water in. It's like it's releasing a lot more flavours in. The peppery smokiness is coming through more than the iodine that was there. Again, it's a dry red wininess that's coming through. The peatiness is actually working quite well with it. It's not fighting it. It's really unusual, and it's kind of throwing me because I was reading tasting notes on this, and it was talking about fruitiness and red berries, and I was expecting it to be a lot softer and like sweeter than what this actually is. This is it's very obvious that it's been matured in a red wine cask, but it's a dry red wine cask. And it's really distinctive and really unusual. It's unlike anything I've had before, because a lot of red wine casks that I've had, like port less so, but like red wine finishes that I've had have been a lot sweeter than this is. This is a lot drier, but all the better for it, to be perfectly honest. That's really distinctive, really different. I'd love to know what the port one's like to kind of compare to this. I can imagine the port is more classically kind of fruity and sweeter and smoother. But this really stands out. This is really distinctive and really different. And fair play to them for doing it, because it stands out a mile. It's very pleasant to drink. It's not hard work. It's just kind of catches you off guard and like, hang on, this isn't anything like I've tasted before. It's good stuff. Very good stuff. Right, I'm going to rinse out, I'm going to crack on with the next one, and then hopefully I'll get this uploaded tonight before it hits midnight. Fingers crossed with my rubbish internet. I shall see you at the next one. Cheers.